Hello, welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to be bringing to you a What I Read podcast. So this is going to be for the month of February. I know it's like totally overdue, long overdue. I was supposed to have this out probably like a week or two ago, and I've just been like first of all, really busy, and then second of all, lazy. So, yeah. Hopefully I can remember enough about these books to really talk about them. But luckily I wrote reviews on each one. And so I can kind of like get the gist of my thoughts of each book and all that stuff. So let's just get right to it. Yeah. In February, I read 7 books. 4 of them I listened to on audio, and 2 of them were ebooks, and 1 of them was actually a physical book, like with papers, and that I held in my hand and flipped the pages and all that stuff, which is very, very rare for me nowadays. On a good day, you'll catch me with my Kindle, but for the most part, like, thank goodness for audiobooks, because if I didn't have audiobooks, I would get no reading done whatsoever. I'm just not motivated to flip the pages anymore. And, I love my Kindle, but sometimes I'm just like, well, like I have other things that I need to do. And, I just don't have time to really just sit there and read. And so that is why I love audiobooks. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, 7 books, definitely a step up from January, which I think I've read 5 books or something like that, and most of them weren't even that good. If I go over to my list of books here, I actually had some 4-star reads, which is surprising. Most of them were 3-star reads, but 3 stars is kind of like, it was good for me. Oh, I had 2 4-star reads. Awesome. Okay, all right, so let's just go ahead and get started. The first book that I read in February was Anytime, Any Place by Jennifer Probst. And so this is the second book in the Billionaire Builders Club, the Billionaire Builders series. I read that first book in January, and so I just continued on with the series. It was a 3-book series. So I read that one and the third, and then they also have a novella, which I read that one as well. And so this one is about the youngest brother. What was his name? Dalton. Okay, and so he is like the artistic, short-tempered brother, although they're all kind of short-tempered, honestly, now that I think about it. But he's like one of those guys that, oh my God, he's like one of those guys where you gotta appreciate the artwork and the beauty, and he has like the long hair with the ponytail and hipster-ish. And obviously they grew up on the East Coast or whatever, but when they all went their separate ways, he went over to California. So he's got that laying on the beach, surfer dude kind of attitude. That's honestly how I picture him, like shirtless, muscles, hair tied up, surfer dude, blonde. And like, oh, dude, and oh, it feels my soul and all this other stuff. So, yeah. So that's kind of like what I think of when I see him, or like when how I picture him in my head. And the love interest that is introduced in this book is Raven. And let me see, do they tell you? Oh, yeah, okay, so they do tell you in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything. But shocker, she is the daughter of the guy that the Pierce, like Mama Pierce, ran away with. So, whoa. Crazy. And it's so funny because when you kind of catch a glimpse of her in the first book. She was like, I think she's like the owner of the bar that they like to frequent. And right when they introduced her, I knew that she had something to do with the whole drama behind Mama Pierce. And yeah, I knew it. And you can already tell that she was Dalton's girl because his interest was piqued on her at the end of the first book. So yeah. It's kind of cliche how they like introduce the companion couples in these romance novels, but it's fine. It's fine. Like, it's all fun and games. So the basic gist with them is that Dalton clearly shows his interest with Raven. You know, he's kind of like a playboy in a lot of ways, and he's got his sights set on Raven, but she just totally blows him off and doesn't, you know, anytime he advances on her, she just pushes him away and all this. And she just clearly makes it known that she's not interested. But lo and behold, she needs his expertise because her bar is getting a feature in like a magazine, and she needs it renovated, updated, because her bar is pretty run down, and you can't have a rundown place in a magazine spread. So he is the expert woodsman, woodworker, I guess, yeah, woodworker would be the term. And so she hires him to like update her bar and the booths and just the overall look and appeal of the bar and or her restaurant, I guess. And so that's how they spend more time together, and that's like Dalton's way in. And then obviously they start dating. All along, she has this big secret because she actually knows that, obviously they're the Pierce brothers. They're known throughout the town. So she knows who they are, and she knows what happened between their parents. But he doesn't know that she's her father's daughter. I forget what his name is. You know, the guy that Mama Pierce ran away with. So, yeah. And so he doesn't know that. And so she just keeps the secret from him for the longest time. And you know, secrets like that end up coming to the surface sooner or later. And then you've got that big fallout and blah, 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 typical cliche stuff. And then in the end, you know, they kind of make up and all that thing and all that good stuff. So that's pretty much the gist of the story. And I have to say, honestly, I genuinely liked it. It was on par with the first book in the series. Even though Dalton isn't my cup of tea, I don't really like that kind of guy. I liked their relationship. And I think that Dalton and Raven balanced each other out fairly well. He, you know, was that kind of playboy, laid back type, and she wasn't uptight or anything. But she was like very like strong, independent, and like type A, go-getter kind of thing. And so I think like they balanced each other out very, very well. And I liked watching them like fall in love. And, towards the end when things kind of blew up, I kind of liked how they made up. But then also it was kind of weird to me because I feel like he could have done like a better gesture, but it was all right. It was good. I think overall, as a book, it was a good romance novel, and it shed a lot more light onto the drama with Mama Pierce. And I don't know if all of my questions are really answered in regards to what happened to Mama Pierce and her lover, but I feel like that's as much as the author is willing to tell you, because, she's just trying to focus on the story of the brothers and all that. So she gives you enough where you're satisfied with the answers, and you can then in turn relate that to her sons. So yeah, so I don't know. I think it was good. I gave it actually 4 out of 5 stars. So yeah, I really enjoyed listening to it, and I think that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so the next book that I read in February was More Than We Can Tell by Bridget Kemmerer, and I actually posted a full review of this book a few weeks ago. If you look back on my feed, you'll see it, and then also link it for you guys. But, all of my thoughts are in there. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it. I loved learning more about Rev, which is the main character. He's a foster kid, and it's really, really like heart-wrenching and so emotional learning about his past and what he had to deal with. And watching him come to terms with it all and accepting it, and then watching him fall in love is really, really nice. My biggest gripe with this book was the girl, Emma. I did not like her, and while I sympathized with her situation, I just couldn't get on board with her immaturity, and oftentimes she came across as very mean to me. So that's kind of like what made me not like this book as much as I was hoping. But I loved Declan as his best friend, who was the main protagonist of the first book. So yeah. Anyways, Rev. I loved Rev. I think that Kemmerer did a great job showing us who he really was and exploring his character and all that stuff. So I loved that part. And I feel like if I had loved Emma, then it would have been a solid 4.5, 5-star read for me. So you want to know more thoughts? If you want to know more of my thoughts on that, yeah, just check out that review. And moving on, the third book that I read for February was All or Nothing at All, again by Jennifer Probst. This was the third book in the Billionaire Builders series. And oh Lord, I can go on and on about my feels for this book. And not good feels, honestly, because this was the one that I was looking forward to the most, because just getting little bits and pieces of Tristan from the other two books, and then his relationship and dynamic with Sydney, I was so curious to see what was going to happen and how it would all come out, because you knew something crazy was going on there. And this is one of those second chance love stories. They were lovers in the past, and then he went away after his mom died, and now he's back running the company with his brothers, and she actually works for the company. And so obviously they butt heads a lot, and sooner or later it was going to explode. And so this is where it all happens. And I wanted a really, really good story, but I honestly thought that I was going to like Tristan the best, and I thought I was going to like the story the best, but it actually was my least favorite, and I wanted to kick Tristan in the balls for much of this book. He drove me insane. Okay, my biggest gripe with this book, honestly, was how he trapped her. Oh my God. So let me see. Okay, I don't know if I can adequately express my feelings for this book without giving some spoilers. So I'm going to let you guys know ahead of time that this is going to be a complete spoiler for this book, only this book. So if you guys want to skip ahead, I'm going to leave a little footnote within the description of this, where you guys can skip ahead to the part where I stop talking about the spoilers or move on to the next book. Because I just need to, if I don't tell you the whole context, then you won't understand what my anger is about all this. But if you don't want to be spoiled, then don't listen to it. But if you don't mind, then go ahead and keep listening. So the big issue about this book was that Sydney, when Sydney and Tristan were together when they were younger, she got pregnant, but she never told him about it. And it wasn't until, so he got back, and then he worked things out with his brothers, and they've been in each other's company for, honestly, I think it was 2 years, and she still never told him about their daughter. And I thought that was the weirdest thing. I can understand, even though I don't agree with her never telling him, I could understand that she didn't tell him while he was away, because they were off living their own lives, and he didn't want a family anyways, and she didn't really need him there. So yes, I could understand her reasoning for that. But dude, the guy was in her life, actually met her daughter, or their daughter, honestly, and was around them for years, and she did not say a damn thing to him. That, first of all, that drove me crazy about her, because that's not right. That's not cool at all. So yeah. But on the flip side, the thing that really, really drove me crazy and made me really hate this book was Tristan and how he treated Sydney and their relationship after he found out. He basically forced her to marry him, and then he forced her to put on this facade that they were a happily married couple and that they were like so in love and everything was perfect so they could paint this picture for their daughter. You know, this picture of normalcy and stability for their daughter. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? Like, oh my God. Like, where do you get that in your head? I always hated that idea of how, you know, a husband and wife have to stay together for the sake of their children. Their facade aside, you would much rather your children see you guys butt heads and fight and just generally be unhappy together to give them that sort of like quote unquote normalcy, then instead of living apart and having them see happy, stable, and I don't know, productive people. Because I feel like when you're not happy in your relationship or whatever is going on in your personal life, then it's going to affect everything else. And you think that children can't pick up on that because they are so damn perceptive about that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to their parents. Like, even though they don't know everything that's going on between you guys, they're going to know that there's something up. And I don't know why some people, some couples think that it's okay to just do this because you're using your kids as excuses. And I can't stand that. I mean, I can go on and on about this kind of issue, but suffice it to say, I just did not like the way, like his idea of that. And I didn't like the way that he treated her. Like, all right, fine. You want to get married just to give your daughter a family? Okay, it's happened before. I can get that. But then you want to stay in the same room together, sleep in the same bed together, have sex, but let her know that, oh, you guys hate each other and you're not in a real relationship. But yeah, live in the same house, in the same room, sleep in the same bed, have sex. But no, I'm not in a relationship with you and no, I don't love you. Come on now. That is just even more bullshit than how the fake marriage is. Because, oh my God. I will leave a link to my review about this where I just... you can get all my thoughts on that because this was the most BS book ever. And I just wanted, like I said, I wanted to kick or punch or just maim Tristan in the balls for his thought process and his reasoning and his actions because it was just so damn stupid. And then you want to talk about sex and how at first Probst painted Sydney as such a strong, independent mom or a single mom, a strong, independent woman who, you know, who goes after what she wants and is very successful in what she does. But she's just a sucker for Tristan. Like, she is a doormat for him. And why? Because he's got the magic dick. Okay? She cannot resist. Her body cannot resist him. As soon as he walks through the door, as soon as he looks at her that certain way, her panties melt and bam, like she will do anything that he wants just because he gives her the D. Like, oh my God, I just want to shake her. And then I want to shake the author for painting women like that. I mean, I know there are women out there that are like that, but I'm amazed that I even finished this book because I just wanted to chuck it. I mean, I was listening to it, so I can't chuck my phone. But these are the type of characters and the type of story that I just cannot stand because it makes me so pissed off. And I don't know. I guess if anything, I'll give Probst credit that she pushed me to that limit, but I'm just like, no, I can't. This is not my kind of book at all. 2 out of 5 stars, but honestly, it really should have been 1 or maybe 0 out of 5 stars. I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because it got me so heated, you know, because honestly, I feel like one star reads are kind of the ones where I have absolutely no interest in, but yeah, I still managed to finish, you know, and it just didn't stir anything in me. And it was just a total bore, total snooze fest. And so the fact that this actually stirred those emotions in me and really riled me up, you know, her writing and just the situation and stuff. So I guess that's why I gave her the 2 stars. Otherwise, it would have been a 1 star or a DNF, which is do not finish or did not finish. So, oh boy, we had a whole discussion just on my thoughts about this topic. Okay, let me move on before I go off on some crazy tangent. Okay, end spoilers. Sorry, guys. I don't know. I don't even know when I edit this. I guess I'll see how long I was really talking about this situation for. But yeah, that's just how crazy it was. Oh, God. Okay, I'm over it. I'm moving on. The next book that I read in February was An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This was a debut book, I believe. Yes, it was, by Margaret. And it was surprisingly good. It's a story about the Fae, which are fairies, you know. And I really liked her take on it. It was very unique to see her version of the Fae and that world. So I like that because in her world, the Fae cannot create or, you know, they can't create crafts. So this is talking about like painting or woodwork or I guess cooking, any kind of thing that is I don't know. They give you like a whole list. I forget. But anything that you would consider crafts, they can't do it. And if they do, then they die. Just so weird. And so because of that, that's why they're fascinated and enamored by humans, and that's why they kind of use humans, because humans can do the crafts, and then they either purchase it from them or they work out some kind of deals or something like that. That's how their worlds intertwine. And so that was very different. Like, I don't think usually Fae, you know, they're like pretty damn powerful and they can do mostly anything. So I thought that was very different, and I really wanted to see where she was going with this. And so I think she did a good job of creating this world, but I have to say that the story itself wasn't as engaging or captivating as I was hoping for. The world is good, but the actual story just, you know, it got kind of boring after a while. So, and the romance is the slowest build kind of romance that you can get. It's very slow building and very subtle. And I mean, I believed it, you know, the stuff that Isabel and what's his name? Oh my God, I don't even remember what his name is. The Prince Rook. Okay. So Isabel and Rook, like with all the things that they kind of go through, I can see how they would fall in love, but I was neither here nor there about it. Like, I liked it, but I didn't love it. So that's why, you know, it was an okay read. It was 3 out of 5 stars for me. I liked the world building, and the writing was pretty good. You know, she painted a very vivid picture. I feel like her writing kind of captured me in that sense, but the story just did not draw me in, and the romance is kind of at best. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars for that one. Indecent Exposure was my next read, and that one was by Tessa Bailey, and that's the second book in the Academy series. This is another one that I did a full review for, and I'll link it for you guys, but I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. I really, really loved the beginning of this book because Jack comes off so hilarious and so funny, and he has that bit of charm to him too. So I really, really liked that, and a lot of awesome one-liners that I highlighted while I was reading this. But the romance itself was kind of just like, you know, I liked it. Another one of those this is where I liked it, but I didn't love it. This is like a very kind of tame book for Bailey's tastes. It's a contemporary romance with some sexual scenes in it, but it's not as explicit as she could be, so keep that in mind. And it's very lighthearted. You know, she actually tackles a pretty deep or pretty controversial topic in this book, but she does it very lightheartedly and in a way that she doesn't delve deep enough into it, honestly. And maybe that was my problem with it, because if you're going to do that if you're going to tackle that kind of subject, maybe you should dive deeper into it and make it more emotional and dramatic, or else just, you know, not have the character have that big of an issue, that big of a problem, that big of a, history or issues with him. So I guess that's why I didn't really love it as much as I've loved her books in the past. And then the female protagonist, Katie, did I mention the guy's name is Jack? But anyways, Katie, we didn't get enough of her. I liked her. She was very badass and she was very skilled at what she did. But I felt like I didn't know her. I didn't get to know her enough to really like her. I just didn't care about her, So that obviously takes away from the romance, because if you don't care about either or maybe even both of the characters, the couple, then, you don't really care about the relationship. So, yeah, it was kind of like middle of the run. What is it called? It was just kind of like a blah book. 3, 3 is the middle for me. I know it should be like 2.5. But yeah, if I could do 2.5 stars, like on Goodreads, I would. So this is 2.5 reads. It's 2.5 stars. So yeah, but again, full review in a previous podcast for you guys. All right. Next book that I read was Somehow, Someway by Jennifer Probst. This was the novella within the Billionaire Builders series. And this is actually about Brady, which he is a partner within the Pierce Brothers construction company. He is a very, very close friend of the brothers, and he is actually the architect on a lot of their projects. And so this was about him and the, what is the girl's name? The girl's name is Charlotte, but Charlie, I think it was, or something like that. Because a lot of Charlottes like to be called Charlie for some reason. Anyways, so Brady is like very, very old fashioned, and he's a bit older, and whereas Charlotte is very young and free spirited. She had like jeans with, I think, flowers on it or something like that. So that's how you can picture her, And they're like total opposites, but opposites attract, especially with them. I mean, their relationship was pretty explosive, I guess. I wouldn't know if explosive is the right term, because it wasn't like knock your socks off, but they were pretty heated and intense. There we go. Brady is very, very intense. So they get thrown together because Charlotte buys this house, this fixer-upper, but she chooses to work on it herself. But it's in like a shady neighborhood, so the guys get together and they say that somebody needs to help her out because heaven forbid something happened to her and the poor girl can't take care of herself. You know how men are. So, which I mean, I get. I mean, they're like protective brothers kind of things. So they didn't push it to the point where she couldn't defend herself. She clearly could. And she did actually defend herself in quite a few instances within this book. And so I give her props. I genuinely liked Charlotte a lot. I liked her better than Brady. Really, I did. And she's very kick-ass and strong, independent, the kind of woman that I like. But yeah, so Brady is the only one that has time to help her with this house. And so that's how they spend a lot of time together, and the sexual tension and the attraction builds up and all that good stuff. And it's one of those, it starts out as sex relationships, but no strings attached and all of that. And then it grows into something more. But the kicker is that their ideals about relationships and gender roles is completely different, He, like I said, he's very traditional and wants his wife to stay home and raise the kids and cook him dinner, have him dinner ready. Very old fashioned, and which, I mean, okay, I can get on board with that because some families and some people they like that, and that's fine. Obviously if it's your choice, if you want to stay home and take care of the kids and cook dinner and all that stuff, that's fine. But don't force somebody to do that. Like, don't make them choose, like, if you're going to be my wife, or vice versa, if you're going to be my husband, this is what I need you to do. No. Because even if you're married, you're your own person. You you come together to share a life, not have somebody own your life. And that's kind of like his mindset. And so I didn't appreciate that at all. And I didn't know how it was going to work with them because Charlotte, like I said, is very free-spirited and she's very independent and she loves her job. And no way would she be okay with relegating to the, pushing out babies and cooking dinner and, saying yes, sir, all the time. Like, no, that's just not her at all. And so it's very interesting to see how it all played out and to see what changes, who gives, and, if the relationship even works out. Which, clearly it does in some extent. But I don't know. We'll see if you read the book. I'm trying not to spoil it. So, not like I did with the other book. But yeah, suffice it to say, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars because I liked their relationship. They were so opposite that it really worked for them. And I liked their chemistry. So it was good. Definitely better than Tristan and Sydney's story. And yeah, even though I didn't like Brady. So if you want to see how it all goes down, you should definitely check out this book. All right. So, and I'm pretty much done with that series. Like, I can't. I don't know if I would read something from this author again. I liked her writing, but I didn't love it. So, I don't know. I have heard that her Marriage Bargain series is really good, so I might check that out on audio, but we'll see. All right, so the last book that I read in February was The City of Bastards by Andrew Schwartz, which is the second book in the Royal Bastards series. I loved the first book. I thought it was really, really good. And actually, I did a full review on this book as well, but it's not coming out until closer to the release date because this book does not come out until June 5th. I totally forgot. I should have told you guys when all the other books came out. Oh, I'm really slipping. Sorry. I need to come out with an outline of how the points that I talk about in each episode. I know I'm like a pantser, which is in writing terms, I kind of just sit here and just talk about whatever and then edit it later, as opposed to having everything outlined and, key points and all that stuff. So bear with me. But yeah, the review for this will come out probably in May. Not too far off, but I'll let you guys know. You'll see it. So, okay. So for this book, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, which is very good. I think it was on par with the first book. The author kept the momentum going, and I really, really, really loved Tilla. I think she's an amazing character. I loved being in her head. She's so hilarious. I love her snark and her humor. I don't know. I think she was really, really cool. I like her. It was very, very... Honestly, if Tilla wasn't in this book, I'd be like, blah. But I loved her. She's so entertaining. As far as the storyline, though, that my biggest problem with this was the pacing was pretty slow. Not much really happens until the end, which I hate it when books do that. I'm like, can you just cut out some of the fat and then get to the meat of it? Like, I know you're trying to build up the suspense and, build the world and all that stuff, but sometimes you just want to cut right to the chase, Nobody's got time for that. But yeah, the pacing was kind of slow. So that was my biggest gripe with this book. But otherwise, I liked it. And I'm very curious to see how it all ends. Stay tuned for my review. Honestly, I go more in depth with it in that review. So I really, really liked it. I don't know what else to say. That won't be said in my review. Okay, so yeah, this is the only book that I read this month that did not already come out. So you can find all of the other books, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you guys buy books. It's out already. And so this one, City of Bastards, doesn't come out until June 5th. So keep that in mind and stay tuned for my review of it. 4 out of 5 stars. And that is pretty much it for this episode. I know. I kind of went off on tangents here and there, I guess. At least I tried to dial it back a bit, but that one book got me really heated. So, yeah, all in all, it was a better reading month for me. Like I said, I got 2 books that had 4 out of 5 stars, and one that really drove me insane, and the other ones were, middle of the run. I'm trying to think if middle of the run a term? I forget. Anyways, they were kind of just mediocre. I don't know. I don't want to say mediocre. They were okay reads for me. There's like good reads and great reads, and these are like okay reads. So February was better than January. But you know what? It gets better because March was amazing. I can't wait to talk to you guys about that because it was so good. And so I feel like if we're going on this train, this reading train, I think that it's going to be a good year for 2018 because it started off like crap. And then February picked up a little bit, and then March is even better. So I'm just hoping that, this train will keep chugging along, going up that hill and just getting better and better. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. That is it from you guys today. I know. This is going to be a weird episode. I'm oddly energetic and a lot more, upbeat or animated this episode. I don't know. I hope you guys like it. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.